Robert E. Rick James.
Open like a window, no window. Look at the videos, stuff that could be you.
Because they like Sanya on. And everybody on the East Coast calls me Don. I'm like, what is Don?
My mom thought I was on Long Island, but I was at Howard Homecoming.
Ready?
Turn it up.
Let's go.
Welcome, everyone. You're now tuned into another amazing edition of Sanya on Air. I am your host, Sanya Hudson Payne. And how do I start off each and every single show? You guessed it. I have another great show for you. First of all, I'm so excited to be back in the studio, but look, it's an all new studio. Don't you just love it? Shout out to Renaissance Management Services and Studio Design for this amazing virtual studio. I absolutely love it. Before we get into anything, I need you to do a few things. First, make sure that you are subscribed to all Sanya On Air streaming platforms. You can find Sanya On Air streaming across Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Alexa, Google Podcast, Buzzsprout, you name it, Sanya On Air streaming. And while you're there subscribing, if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure that you hit the notification button. That way, when I upload the video onto YouTube, you'll know. Guess what time it is? It's back to school time. And if you're a parent, why not take advantage of Instacart? When you sign up for Instacart, you will get delivery in as fast as 1 hour. And guess what? You can also get free delivery if your purchases total $10 or more using Instacart. Now, this Instacart special is only valid from September 2nd to September 19th. How do you take advantage of this special Instacart Sanya On Air special? This is what you do. In the description box of this episode will contain a link. Make sure that you click on the link and you will be directed to Instacart, where you can do all of your shopping, delivery, and as fast and as less as 1 hour, and free delivery if your total is $10 or more. Can't beat that. And how do I start off each and every single show? You guessed it. I have another great show for you. Joining us in just a few short moments, I have none other than actor and comedian London Brown, who stars in Power Book 3, Raising Kanan. Oh my gosh, don't you just love his character? I'm tuned in every single week, so make sure you stay tuned into this conversation because London will be joining us shortly. But before we get to London, these are a few things I want to discuss, and I want to thank you for supporting Sanya On Air Celebrity Interviews and Sanya On Air Lifestyle. Now, if you are not familiar with Sanya On Air Lifestyle, it has a YouTube channel currently streaming. This is where I shine a light or I spotlight luxurious brands. Who doesn't want to be exposed to the finer things in life? So with Sanya On Air Celebrity, I always get these luxury brands wanting to partner, wanting to promote, wanting to advertise. So I said, you know what? Why not give them the space that they need and the space that they deserve too? So make sure that you head on over to Sanya On Air Lifestyle, currently streaming on YouTube. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification button. Now, if you're a supporter of Sanya On Air, that means you're just like me. That means that you live and breathe everything television, film, music, fashion, and beauty. So I wanted to find out what was going on in the streets of New York City. How are they entertaining themselves? So why not get into some entertainment review? So tell my Sanya On Air viewers and listeners, what song do you have on repeat?
So right now it's actually Hurricane by Kanye West featuring The Weeknd.
So tell my Sanya On Air viewers and listeners, what television show should everyone be watching?
Everyone should be watching All American.
Why?
It's a really good show, to be honest. Sports, if you love, football, high school, any of that stuff, it's perfect show. Perfect show for anyone to watch.
you, London?
No complaints. Just trying to keep at it. Everything is everything.
I hear that. I hear that. But I really asked that question intentionally. Like we are in this phase of healing. And oftentimes when people ask the question, how are you? Like it's just in passing. People don't really mean it. We are in a world of where we're trying to heal. So I really mean it. Like, how are you doing?
I'm good. I really feel that way, which is nothing to complain about. I'm working. I'm healthy. My family is good. I'm pretty easy going. So I'm good. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm solid.
Good, good. And as we talk about just the journey of healing and what everyone is trying to do to develop tools in order to heal, because we're still reeling from this pandemic. With this research, I found that you had to navigate a traumatic experience when it should have been a highlight of your career. Most people know you from Power Book 3, Raising Kanan, but I originally know you from HBO's Ballers. Now, that show, you started off as a guest role, but then it transitioned into a reoccurring role at the same time that your brother was murdered. How did you navigate being on camera, showing up for your castmates, showing up for the viewers while you were mourning the murder of your brother?
I think it was a lot of prayer. I think I had people, well, I know there were people praying for me to get me through that. Honestly, I think because it happened pretty quickly as far as my whole brother situation and then just having to return back to work. So I remember I just was, at the time living in Miami. So it was just, I went right back to filming, right back to shooting. And then I was just so tapped into work that I probably really didn't mourn until well after the process. Um, and so I was just going because honestly, as black men, we're conditioned not to cry or not to really have feelings. So growing up in the hood, I didn't even really process the idea of what it was to feel. And so in addition to that, I didn't even, because of that, I didn't even know how to mourn properly in the sense that I didn't know how to do it. And I know that sounds interesting, but if you don't cry, you don't, there's a party that feels like you don't know what that feels like because you don't know how to do it and how you're going to do the act of mourning. So I didn't do it because I was by myself. So for a long time, probably, and I think it's still here, I don't usually cry by myself. You know what I mean? I make sure someone is there with me or around me or family and people that are important to
Mhm.
me that understand how to handle me. Not that I cry and I tear things up, but it's just nice to feel some sort of, I don't know, a safety net with mourning. So I was just, so to your question, not to be verbose, but I just threw myself into work and I kept it moving.
I can relate to that. And the reason why I led with this question is because I'm sort of navigating through a traumatic experience myself. My mother was recently murdered about 7 months ago, and I was on camera
I'm sorry to
every
hear that.
single week. Um, Thank you so much. Finished crying, 5 minutes, lights, camera, action, and then I had to stop and pause. Actually, this is my first conversation in about 8 weeks because I had to take time to do some self-healing. And just like you said, to find a circle or a network of support system so that if I needed to cry or lean, I had reliable people to lean on. So I led with that question because people are navigating trauma as well. So I just wanted to make sure that we gave them some tools to let them know that they can get through it too. So thank you for sharing that.
Oh, absolutely. Of course, absolutely.
So then again, on Ballers, your character Reggie was a character that people loved to hate and hated to love. Now, added that characterization of the hatred of Reggie, and then with the loss of your brother, all of those layers of trauma. Once again, how do you navigate layers of trauma at work?
You it's one of those things where I felt like for me, uh, because I also do stand up, so I felt like stand up helped me to get through the situation with my brother, um, because making others laugh and feel uplifted me. Um, and so when it came down to, fortunately, like Reggie wasn't really dark necessarily, or didn't have a bunch of issues. He had a couple things going on, uh, but for as far as that, it was really finding the comedic stuff within Reggie that helped me channel, excuse me, all the dark stuff that I was dealing with. So it was actually playing the
Mhm.
opposite. It helped me lift. And we'll talk about maybe the other characters, but all but each of these projects, um, because actually in the middle of filming Ballers, I did shoot a couple other projects, and I did need to pull some stuff from uh my brother's situation that kind of helped me get through. And I know we were kind of pausing. Hopefully you're still here. But it's a oh, I'm sorry, did I lose you a little bit?
And the Wi-Fi is really acting up. So wait. Did you
Okay,
say start again in the middle of
okay.
Ballers? What happened?
I was saying in the middle of Ballers, um, basically what I was doing was I was working. Uh, I was basically when I found out the information about my brother, I still was working comedy clubs, and I felt like by helping other people laugh, helped me get through my personal situation, um, and that sort of thing. So even with filming Ballers was an uplifting comedic or a dramedy as they call it, and so again functioning on the lighter side of things helped me get through the darker side of my
Yeah,
situation.
yeah, yeah.
It's a process. I mean, and prayer. I can't even run from that. A lot of people praying for me.
Yes, yes. I'm a firm believer in prayer. Before every single show, I pray, and I just ask my mom to step in. Even before the recording of this show, I'm a firm believer in that. So thank you for sharing. Just not about the religion and the spirituality side, but just having a vice, something that's going to take you out of that dark space. So I just want to kind of talk about the comedic side of you for a little bit, because you toured and headlined for Chris Tucker. Is that true?
Yep. Shout out to Chris Tucker. His birthday was the other day. Um, yeah. So even with that, I was in a club one night going to support my friend. I had finished working clubs and I just went to support him. And Chris Tucker was in the club. And this is the short version of the story, but he saw me in the club. We exchanged numbers, and then he asked me to come out and tour with him. And we did that for a few years, man. And I'm very grateful that he brought me out, man. Shout out to Chris Tucker. I just spoke to him actually the other day, because it was his birthday. But
Uh-huh.
shout out to him, man. I appreciate him. He just allowed me. We hit Europe, Canada, the States, stuff like that. So that was good times. That was good work.
And that was another lesson for me about just staying ready or staying prepared, so that when opportunity presents itself, you can just jump right into the opportunity because you waited for this opportunity probably all your life. So once again, just another pivotal moment and a milestone for my viewers and listeners to kind of attach themselves to, because we want to know how successful people like you do it. So once again, thank you for sharing that valuable gem. So out of acting and comedy, what's your first love?
Well, with my style, if I had to choose one, it'd probably be stand up. But the thing about it is, with my style, they work together in the sense that when I'm doing stand up, I'm acting out these stories, or when I'm acting, they allow me to let my comedic timing have some liberty. So they work both for me. And I'm so grateful and fortunate enough that I can really play in both lanes with that sort of thing, man. So, and that's another thing. My comedy, I know for sure helps with my acting because stand up is all about timing. As far as jokes, there's a rhythm that you develop from doing stand up. So I'm able to incorporate that within the acting and find those things. And that was another kind of a small gem uh, that Chris Tucker, would always tell me, he said, man, Never stop doing stand up. And because it helps with the acting in a different kind of way. So I probably would go with stand up. But they, like I said, they play together. They work together for me.
They do, hand in hand, hand in hand. But that's what I love also about your story as I was researching is I'm a firm believer that children can't be what they don't see. I come from an urban community. I grew up in the projects in Brooklyn, New York. And I read
Shout out
that
to Brooklyn.
shout out to Brooklyn. And I learned that you grew up in South Central Los Angeles. Now, traditionally, South Central was never known for success stories. But then there are so many successful artists like yourself that have come from South Central. Who did you look to for inspiration while growing up in South Central Los Angeles?
As far as inspiration, I probably would say my mother, man, because and my mother not into like she actors or nothing like that. But she do be acting up. No, get it up. Stop. My mama see this and be like, "What you say about me? Why you acting?" No, but the thing about it is, I say my mother for inspiration because all the moves that I've made ultimately really come back to her on some sort of level.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that I'm better than anybody else or I'm more righteous, but I try to live my life because my mother's such a spiritual person, and she's so in tune with God, and so for her, she's like as I actually come into my own epiphany as I'm saying this, but I
Mhm.
try to live my life on some sort of level with how she would view me in the same way that I try to be if when I think about God and I try to be right by people.
Yeah.
I'm not that I do everything perfect, but I do respect people in the sense that because I try to have some respect or I try to live my life in some respect to God. So
Right.
because of that, I think about how I move and how it's going to make my mother look. And I
Yeah.
don't want to ever embarrass my mother. And on that side of it, the other side is um, I don't ever want to. My drive is to always help her to put her in a better position or a better place, and then everybody else that's a part of my my family there. So that's my drive. I try to work hard because I still take care. People think ballers and TV, and they think they think because I work with Dwayne, I make Dwayne money, and
Right.
it ain't like that. But I'm fortunate enough to just be working.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of basic things that I do, man. I still cover. I help my mom's out with rent and different things, and I'm bailing people out of jail, and I got regular life stuff. Like London is okay. I'm fine. I got my little car, got my little place. I eat, my bills are paid. London is okay. The work that I'm doing now is not only because I love the craft, but I'm working hard to help other people. It's not me. I'm fine, but I
Right.
know a lot of people need help. So my as far as looking up to anybody, it would be my mother. That she drives all of this, really, honestly.
I love it. And I'm just smiling from ear to ear because in this whole era, we've heard the term who protects the Black woman. And to see a Black man acknowledge his Black mother, once again, these are stories and narratives that we need to hear more often because we
Right.
don't hear the love between a Black man and his Black mother or a Black man and a Black woman. So once again, that gem, it definitely resonated with me. So growing up in South Central LA and introduced to the arts, like I said, I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, in the projects. I wasn't surrounded by artsy like individual, even though I went to the art school. I was
Right.
formally trained in musical theater, drama, dance, you name it. So how did your peers around you react when you said, okay, I'm going to go to acting school? What did they say?
I'm gonna be honest with you. A lot of actors had them stories where the people around them was full of doubt and told them they wasn't gonna be nothing. My mother wasn't. My mother was not toxic in that way, and that's no disrespect to anybody who come from that or anything like that. My mother was not. She was cool. She was like, yo, I grew up in church, and I used to do the church plays and all of that stuff. So she was always like, She was cool. My whole thing with my mother was always like, whatever you want to do, you got to live with that. I
Yeah.
remember when I was third grade, and I wanted to cut my hair, and I was like, I want to put a little part in the thing. I want to do that. And I remember I also remember a time where she cut my hair and she gave me my first little Gumby. And my mother, I gotta give it up to my mother as I think about it, because something these interviews you forget sometimes until you get to ask the question. But
Yeah.
my mother gave me my gummy in the '90s, and she was like, I was like, I want that because I used to love the show. I was like, I want the gummy, and this is when Juice and all this other. She's like, all right, but you got to walk around with it. Are you okay with that? And she always gave me the option to make my own choice, but she was there to support the situation. So when it come down to things like this, um, she was there to hold it down. So as far as when it wasn't like I came into the house and I made this thing and at dinner or something and I said, yo, I want to be an actor. It wasn't
Right.
that. I was always artistic. When when I was really young, I thought I was gonna be an animator for Disney. I could draw a little bit, and I thought I was gonna do that. But you grew up if you black, and especially a young man, you grew up in church. You're gonna play some instruments. You're
Yes.
gonna do something up there. So I'm playing drums and keys a little bit, and trying to get. But ultimately, my family was very supportive. I did my little school plays. They see me do some church plays, so Easter plays. So by the time I got into the acting thing, they would show up to the high school plays. A lot of love, man. I can't say I come from a family that was with the negative energy. My stepfather crazy and still is. He know that. Even when he see this, he'll laugh at this. But it was at the end of the day, it was always a lot of love, and prayer. I and to God honest truth, I've never not seen my mother wake up 4 or 5 in the morning and pray. She did it
Yes.
every day,
Yes.
every day.
Yeah.
I've never not gotten I've never beat my mother getting up in the morning. Prayer every day. I'm so grateful for my mother. So
Mhm.
that is to say, her energy and her care was always just like, yo, and it wasn't even the money. I didn't go to no fancy school. I went to school in the hood, and I went to Washington Prep, and it's called preparatory, but it was right in the hood, gang banging and all that other stuff. But I will say the arts department. Shout out to Mark Swinton, Monica
Mhm.
DeAmpert, Fernando Pullum, Byron Nora. Uh, we had some people. Marguerite Lamont, peace be upon her. We had some art teachers that cared about us,
Yeah.
well, they saw the talent in us before. My theater teachers, he was the one who said you need to do this acting thing. I thought, well, everybody can act, naive and young. He said, no, 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 man, you got something. You need to do it, focus. And he helped me tap in to what I needed to even get started with this whole thing. So I'm
Right.
grateful I had some solid people around me and some solid men, some OGs that said, this is how you need to navigate. And, people in the hood and ex-cons and everything, and just say, yo, stay focused, stay focused. So I'm very grateful.
You're cut from good cloth. And when I talk to people, especially individuals like my daughter, she's 26 years old, I'm telling her to lean in and be an active listener so that she knows what type of people to surround herself with. So the fact that you talked about your mother and the upbringing in church, when you talked about staying prepared and staying ready so that you can take advantage of opportunities, these are the type of people that you need to surround yourselves with, because then your trajectory, it will still be difficult, but in an essence it will still be a little bit more easier for you. So the gems
Yes,
that you are dropping, I'm telling you, it is resonating with me in such a way. I'm telling you, my heart,
good.
because
Yeah, I feel you. I feel you. Absolutely.
any man who has love for his mother, I'm telling you, that's just something that just makes my heart shine. But I just want to kind of transition real quick to your
Sure.
latest project, Power Book 3, Raising Kanan. Let me tell you something, London. Recently, when the show didn't air for that day, I was so upset. I was so upset. Tell us, how did you secure the role of Marvin? such an interesting character. How did you start?
Let me give you this fun story.
Okay.
So I just finished. This is fall of 2019. I just the last episode of Ballers had just aired. So I get a call from my agent at the time, and any actor knows about this call. So what happened is the agency calls. They say, "Yo, how you doing?" I said, "Man, things cool. I'm working clubs and back in stand up." There's like, yeah, nice, nice, and nice. Hey, London, we feel like we're too big of an agency. We probably need somebody smaller. I said, oh, I said, this is that call. Yeah, I want to. The call was basically to just say, hey, we should split. I said, okay, no problem. I don't worry about that kind of stuff because I'm, for me, my faith is in God. So
Yep.
whatever He want me to do, I'm
Yep.
not worrying about anything down here saying no. No problem, all good. So I go at the time. So now I'm agentless. And I do get calls. My manager calls me and say, "Yo, there's a film there's a horror film that would like to have you." And then I'm good friends with shout out to Robbie Reed. Robbie Reed is the casting director for all them famous Denzel films and Spike Lee joints. So shout out to her. She called. She said, "Hey, we want you to play Boosie Collins for American Soul."
Yes. I
Yeah.
love that role. Yeah.
And so I was like, all right, I try something different and fun. And so I go and I shoot these projects. When I get back from those projects, that's when I get a call. My manager said, hey, um, there's a young agent who is interested and familiar with the work. I meet up with him, and while I meet with him, I could tell he had some good energy about him. Just off top, that's what I be checking for. When I go in the room, I'm checking temperature. Where
Uh-huh.
you at? Or how comfortable are you with yourself around me? And
Right.
not and again, not that I'm anything special. It's not about me, but I just want to see where you are when you connect with me. Are you trying to pull from me? Are you trying to grow? Trying to build? So the energy came off pretty solid. So then he says, "Yo, London, I got this project for you, man. You should go check it out." And I see it, and it says Power. But at the time, mind you, I remember I did something out in actually I'm in New York now. I did something here in New York, and I was seeing billboards that Power was on its last season. So
Mm-hmm.
I said, okay, well, I know that the show is on its finale, but the script said Power. And a lot of times, what they do when we have an audition, the script will have a fake title on it so
Uh-huh.
that it's protected. So I said, okay, maybe it's just a script with a fake Power title, no problem. I read the script, it reads well. This is a cool part. And I audition, put myself on tape. And then it's the Christmas break because I auditioned in December. The Christmas break, after the Christmas break, my agent says, hey, come up to the agency. I want you to meet the people in the office that I work with. Because mind you, I'm not signed to him. He just wants to do work. So while I'm in there, they say, yo, you got a call back for that audition you did in December. It's January now. You got a call back. I said, okay, I'm gonna go back to audition. So long story short, I do the audition. I landed. They say, hey, we need you to come move to New York to film it. I still don't know that as Power. I'm just I'm just here in New York. I'm filming a show. I don't know it's Power, but I'm like, okay. So it wasn't until like I got until I got into mid season or mid episode, I was like, oh, I think I'm on Power, but I didn't know it was like a branch off or the
Right.
prequel, So I'm still not knowing. I just know I'm on a cool show with some very talented people and some very humble people. And then, like I said, midway, I figured out that I was connected to a show. The funny story is, while I was filming Ballers, I always wanted to be a part of Power. That's why
Wow.
I had never watched an episode of Power because I wanted to be a part of it. I was grateful for what I had, but I didn't want to watch Power because I was like, man, because I knew that Ballers was good because it was global, universal, different audience. But I knew the streets and I knew the people that I had grew up with was watching
Yep.
Power. So I was like,
Mhm.
man, I want to be a part of that show, but I don't I was like, thank you God for this, but I was like,
Right.
oh yeah. So anyway, when it came full circle for me, I knew that I knew God lined up and it worked in my favor, and so I was so grateful again uh, that I had an agent and manager who hustled and who was asking what does London need to do, what do you need to change, and they fought in that room for me. And then by the time I got there and started filming the show, it was all love, man. Shout out to all the directors of Raising Kanan, Sasha Penn and Shanna. I mean, Shauna and good energy over there. I got number love. Shout out to 50, to 50, and
Yeah.
everybody over there. So it's good stuff, man.
Wow. So once again, you were ready. So when the opportunity presented itself, you jumped right into it. And also the power of manifestation is awesome. People better tap into the power of manifestation. It's real, people.
I tell people all the time, I move in anticipation. And that's why I always encourage people to do something every day that puts them closer to where they want to be. But
Yeah.
you gotta be able to the focus and you have to have and the discipline you have to really see it. That's why, but it all goes back to making sure you're going after something that you are passionate about, that you love to do, because the no's that come with going after things, if you're not, if you don't really like what you do, those no's can easily discourage you.
Mhm.
You got to know that whatever you're going after is something that is in your heart that fulfills you, makes you happy. Otherwise, that's why I have people all the time talking about chasing the bag, getting the money. It's
Mm.
not about the money. The
No,
money
will come.
inevitably will come. The thing about when you go after something that you really are passionate about, and I'm not going to be too worried about this, or too uh, vociferous about this, because I get very passionate, because I be wanting people to get it. But when you when you go after the thing that you love to do, there's a different kind of energy that goes beyond money and different things. Because look, let's just say I could get paid. Somebody say, "Yo, we want you to build a house. We want you to build houses." And oh no, maybe something simpler. We want you to. All you got to do is let's just say clean windows. Nothing wrong with that. Just
Right.
give me an example. We want you to clean windows. We're gonna pay you $100 per window you clean. The $100 is going to excite some people. But after a while, you're not going to feel fulfilled. You're going to realize that, man, I'm making this money, but I'm not happy.
Exactly.
What's going on? Versus when you go after something that you love to do that fulfills you on the inside, you'll do it for free, to the point where you'll be up the extra hours. You'll be up the early mornings. You'll work on the weekends when people want to go to the club, when people want to go on vacation. You're going to want to do the work. So when you continue to do the work for the thing that you love doing, you're going to become great at it, because just from simply doing the work. So now you have the skill level and the work ethic behind the thing that you love to do. The work is gonna draw to you in ways
Mhm.
you're gonna be like, y'all finna pay me. Wait, you finna pay me how much to do what? And
Right.
people gonna say, stand up, whatever it is. Yeah, we want you to do 10 minutes, and let's just say, here's a check for $1,500. You like, for 15 minutes of you wait, you want me just to talk and make people laugh, and you're gonna pay me $1,500 for
Right.
15 minutes? Yeah, please, just and then is that too low? Well, I mean, if you want to throw in the extra two, and you realize that, oh man, when you do the thing, but people think it's about money. It's not about
That's
the money. It's
not.
it's almost actually a little annoying for me to hear. I understand the mentality. I come from the hood, so I get where people coming from. But I'm like, man, people that's about chasing money, always chasing money.
Yeah.
But you do the thing you love to do, and like you said, I'm moving in anticipation. I'm always in my brain. I know something's coming. I believe I saw the house, I saw the car, I saw the films. So I'm like, That's why when Ballers came around, I was ready. I was in my acting classes. I was in my bag with all of that stuff. So when that audition came up, I come from theater too. So when that audition came up, and they said you won't play across from Dwayne, the only reason why I could even last on screen with Dwayne or have any presence is because I had been in the gym, if you will. I've been pressing, so my presence was there to even stand. Because I'm way smaller than Dwayne, but my energy was up. I
Right.
could handle Dwayne or handle with Dwayne on screen. So by the time Power came around, Ballers was one of my gyms. Shout out to Prentice Penny, my first TV show called The Hustle. That
Uh-huh.
prepped me. That prepped me for Ballers, and Ballers helped me get my reps up for Raising Kanan. So everything is a process, and I understand that. So forgive me, I get passionate about this. I be wanting people to understand. Feel me.
I'm really smiling. I love it, love it, love it. This is like church on a Sunday morning for me. So thank you for that. You know,
Yeah.
circling back to Power Book 3, Raising Kanan, as a New Yorker, I was like, okay, now I know with, you know, Power and Ghost, that was set in the current times, but this was going to be set in the 80s and 90s. Let me see if they get it right. When I tell you the fashion was on point. When I saw the 40 belows that I rock every single winter to this day, I said, okay, they got it together. So if you could think back to the 90s, what fashion item would you wish was still here in current day? What fashion would you take with you?
What fashion? You know what? If I were to take my character Marvin, shout out to Sergey and Carmia and Frank and the fashion people over there. Frank is I can't think of his last name. Forgive me, Frank. Frank is a monster at this stuff. His whole team, Sergey, all of them, they do a great job with the fashion stuff. And so I think personally, some of them sweaters and coats that they have Marvin and my character Marvin Thomas on the show. Them sweaters, them Coogi sweaters and whatnot, and
Yeah.
them nice fluffy wool leather coats that actually work. You know,
Yeah.
because I'm from LA. LA, they got big coats, but they feel like sheets. I try to wear a LA coat here in New York, and I should have came outside in a bath towel. It don't work here. But the coats here, I understand. Now I was diving into the show. I said, "Oh, that's why I understand why Timbs are so crucial."
Yes.
You know, they're not. Yeah, they for the fashion side, but they solid boots for what you're trying to move around in. And I understand the big coats and excuse me, and the scarf. I get it. So I think I would say maybe the coats and the sweaters. I wish they kind of still had some of that going on. You know, and I got me, you know, I got some Coogee sweats things like that because I moved to my own drum, so I like I'm into fashion, so
Me too.
I like the clothes and I appreciate all of that stuff for sure.
Yeah, yeah. When you first got on camera, I was checking out your gear. I said, I have the same Gap hoodie. And
Oh no, you know I'm coming low key. I'm actually coming right off set. You know, so I was like, let me connect. You know, and do the interview, and that's so when I go to set, I'm do the sweatsuit thing because especially my character, he's very posh and very dapper. So out of coming out of them church shoes and funeral slacks that Marvin be wearing, I'll be like, let me throw my hoodie on, get to the crib. I'm ready to shut it down, or it's early morning.
Yeah,
I hit the gym, throw the sweatsuit on,
right.
those J's on, and I get the set. But yeah, I am into. I'm into some fun. You know, I appreciate clothes. That's what I'll say.
That's one thing I would say about Marvin's character. That's one thing, and I'm glad you mentioned it. The click clack shoes, the little church. We could do away with that a little bit. No, but the rest of the attire, you serving them Jamaica Queens, New York style. I get it.
Shout out to Southside Jamaica Queens, man. It's been a lot of love in the hood. I ain't gonna lie. I was in the Bronx. We was filming in the Bronx, and
Wait, I know. Wait, London. Were you filming on the driveway strip leading up to John F. Kennedy High School about 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago in the Bronx? Right off of 231st.
possibly we all over the Bronx for sure.
I saw the trailer
Oh,
that
you know
said,
what? I
You
think
were.
so.
You were.
I think so. I think so.
You were. I started to peek in like, hey, wait a minute. What's going on? I walked right by. So once again, the power of manifestation. I walked by that trailer and I was like, oh my gosh, I would love to have a conversation with one of the cast members of, Power Book 3, Raising Kanan. And look. So when I tell you the power of manifestation is real, when I tell you God is on my side and ordering my steps, it is so real. So getting back to, once again, the show, I'm noticing the relationship between you and the power and the character of Kanan. So it just seems as if he is really leading him more into a life of crime or getting more comfortable in a life of crime. What can we expect between those two characters of Marvin and Kanan?
I think people are going to really understand the fact that Marvin is low. I had someone tell me, explain to me that Marvin really is Kanan's OG, and Kanan knows. He kind of manipulates the situation where he tells Uncle Marvin, he says, "Yo, man, I know you want to be in a better position with my mom's, so I'll put in a good word for with my mom's, but I need you to look out for me." And so all over, Marvin is a little all over the place, and we're going and as the show progresses, people find out kind of why he is this way. But the thing about it is, Marvin is just a typical one of those uncles where, see, if people ain't an uncle, I'm an uncle. I got a nephew that's 4. Shout out to Carter. And I love my nephew. And when you if you're not an uncle or an auntie, or auntie, depending on where you are in the city or where you are in the world, you don't understand. Like, you're in a very cool position. You don't have the responsibility of dad or the mother. You don't have to be so super sound thinking because you're the grandmother, grandfather. All you want to do is love on the niece and nephew. And so when your niece and nephew come to you about doing something nefarious, and all you trying to do is you want to be in a position where you're like, okay,
right,
I ain't going. All right, I know I shouldn't be doing that, but I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna let you have you. I'm gonna let you take a little smoke on my way, a little, and you do those kinds of things because you got somebody. Ultimately, just love that you have for your niece and nephew, and we share that. And so Marvin is not trying to push his nephew into this street life. In fact, he had a little, resistance with that in the beginning. But at the same time, he's like, okay, well, if you're going to get into it, let me show you how to do it properly. And it's the core that drives Marvin to look out for his nephew the way he does is love. He's like, yo, man, I'm gonna hold you down. This is how you do it. And especially in this next episode, I believe. I gotta watch the show. I haven't watched the show like that. I gotta see where we are. But from the trailers and different things, this is one of those episodes where coming up, Marvin is trying to school Kanan and say, listen, this is you're not moving right. And so as an OG big brother, Marvin is all those kinds of things for Kanan. He's trying to shift him to just say, listen, man, be a solid dude in whatever you do. And that comes out of love. It's all about love at the end of the day.
I'm glad that you gave me that different optics, because then I had to shift, how I was viewing the character of Marvin, because I'm an auntie. And I said, I've had plenty of conversations with my niece that I probably shouldn't have had, but, it's based on love. So I totally understand that. So thank you for shifting, my optics on that. But let's just talk about one thing also while you were talking, Kanan's character is starting to remind me of Tariq's character a little bit. You know how we kind of shifted, like, oh, why is he doing that? Oh, it's a stupid move. So I'm curious to see the growth of Kanan's character and also Marvin's character too. But thank you for shifting my perspective. But I want to talk about Rock's character just real quick, because I know that you need to go. I got an issue a little bit. I'm a New York girl. I'm from Brooklyn. I roll throughout the boroughs. Her accent is giving me kind of Sopranos, Gambino, Crime Family. It doesn't really sound like an authentic Queen's accent. Has she or you heard that before, or is this the first time you've heard that?
I think that
Amazing though. I love her role, but the accent.
I think that with what people have to also remember is just with her. The thing about her too is that her acting, she is what's dope about that. Even just to go into the role, what's dope about the role, and even with Power, is that they because I again I haven't watched Power like that, but I had a chance to I ran into Mary J. Blige, and Mary J. Blige was very she supported what we did, and I'm saying this to say that I know that she's a lead woman on Power Book 2,
Uh-huh.
and so even with Patina Miller on leading ours, was what I do think is dope is the fact that she is the fact that she's a lead and she's a woman. I think is the cool thing that they first. I just had to start there with the basis of it. The fact that they have a lead woman and,
Yes.
and a lead black woman on a TV show. Because normally a show like this, it's the guy running the thing, and and no knock to that. Because obviously, shout out to Amari because he got busy. So
Right.
homage to Amari for doing his thing, Amari Chadwick. But what's cool about this one is that the fact they have a black woman that is a lead and she's strong,
Yeah.
and her coming from her theater background. So, whatever people feel, we definitely we try to do our homework as best we can. And we got our dialect coaches and all of that. And, even with the guy, the one who plays Lulu, he's West Coast. And me and Lulu are from LA, and we not like from the valley. We
Right.
South Central LA. We both up the street from Nipsey. It's like LA, Minister
Uh-huh.
Society, Boys in the Hood, whatever you want to call it. We in the mix. So
Right.
it is a process. That's one of those things. As actors, you kind of hoping that people mess with you and follow along with you, and you try to get the dialect. So it's a grind. So I think we all learn and just try to. We all. That's why we live in New York and have to figure it
Yeah.
out. It's a process. So I think. So to your question, because I want to go around the question. To your question, I think that we all are just trying to learn and figure it out, especially season one. Because it was like, hey, you got the parts, move to New York, let's go. We like okay, we got to learn a whole new culture of
Right.
everything. So with that, I think we all learning and just we're trying our best to really try to pull it off.
Well, you're doing an amazing job. And even though, I'm kind of questioning the dialect, it's still not enough reason for me to say I won't be tuned in every single week to Power Book 3, Raising Kanan. It is my guilty pleasure. My daughter and I, we go back and forth. We wait patiently every Saturday night Sunday morning at midnight. And we say, okay, we can't go to bed until we watch this. So thank you for giving us such amazing television that captures New York City in such a way that is such nostalgic, and it is so heartwarming. So we appreciate that. So I just have one final thing I need you to do.
Sure.
Your best Marvin voice. Please tell my Sanya on Air viewers and listeners why they should be tuned in every single week.
Marvin's a little more crunched up. Let me see. I gotta drop my register too. You know what? I'll give you one even more fun. Can I give it in? How about if I do it in Denzel voice?
Perfect. Okay.
I'll tell people to do it in Denzel Washington's voice, which is I want to tell everybody make sure that you tune in and you catch your show because there's a lot of inspiration. There's a lot of encouraging ideas that I think that people will enjoy to experience. So be sure to tune in. Boom. Let's see that.
You made my day and week. London, thank you so much for this conversation. Like I told you, I am full. Continue blessings. Continue to walk in your purpose. This is just the beginning, and I will support you every single step along the way. Continue blessings, my brother.
Peace and blessings. Thank you. I appreciate you guys for just having me. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Good day. Good day. Good day.
So there you have it. An amazing conversation with actor and comedian London Brown, who stars as Marvin on the hit show Power Book 3, Raising Kanan. That was an amazing conversation. I love when guests are just so authentic in their journey and they don't mind sharing their gems and giving us tools as we navigate this experience called life. So if you aspire to be an actor, or if you are currently an actor, this is a conversation that you need to listen to and watch over and over and over again. So many things that he told us. Once again, stay ready, because opportunities will always present itself when you least know it. Let me just give you a backstory about opportunity presenting itself. As I told you at the onset of the conversation with London, I was doing some healing, some self-reflection. I needed to push back from the show because I had suffered a traumatic experience. I wasn't scheduled to come back and record any shows until the latter part of this month. But then when this request came in for this interview, I said, you know what? I already have things in place, so I just got to do what I need to do, because I didn't know if I said no to this opportunity, if it would present itself again. Take advantage of the opportunities as they present themselves to you. So such an amazing conversation. Make sure that you tune in every single week to Stars, to Power Book 3, Raising Kanan. It is my guilty pleasure. Make sure that it's yours too. Make sure you head on over to every single Sanya on Air streaming platform and subscribe. If you are watching this interview on YouTube, make sure you also hit the notification button. Sanya on Air, once again, is streaming across every major platform. Make sure that you also subscribe to Sanya on Air Lifestyle that streams on YouTube. And guess what? I forgot to tell you all. Well, remind you all, Sanya on Air Empower Apparel. I have the most amazing and comfortable premium cotton t-shirts that have some empowering words. Let your clothing speak for you. We're all wearing masks. No one knows if you're smiling. They'll always, what are you saying? Because we have the mask on and people can't hear what we're saying. So let your clothing talk for you. Head on over to the description box of this episode, where you will find the link for Sanya on Air apparel and purchase and support. And also in the description box, don't forget the link for Instacart. Free delivery if your purchase is more than $10, and also get it delivered in less than an hour. I'm going to head over to Instacart myself. There's a few things that I need. So thank you for tuning in to Sanya on Air. I love you so much for watching. Smooches loves. Bye-bye.